You want to look at it right now? When we go to my explore, you want me to show you, post your explore page?
Don't look at my explore page.
You want to look at me? Let's all of us bring your explore pages up right now.
In unison. Does not know
in unison. This is what we gonna do.
I'm not responsible for what's on my.
Oh, what's on it? No, what's on it? No, because
it's weird. It's some weird shit on my explore page.
Listen.
I'm not showing my explore page.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not doing mine either.
I find myself thinking about this with hip hop as a whole, which is like, we love it, and it comes from, our culture and our experience in this country, but like, it is a way that white distribution, white people who own record labels have been able to tell the story of Black Americans back to Black people. And they're using social media to bring it back to social media. Like now, social media is a big way that they use to kind of tell the story to Black kids about what it is to be Black.
I think we're in the midst of COINTELPRO 2.0. We just don't know it. And I think it's social media. Like, you don't have to infiltrate movements and organizations anymore. You can just infiltrate people's minds through like pushing certain narratives and stuff out there and like making us engage with the content. And it's literally shaping people's minds in everyday life about stuff. I think Black relationships is an example of that.
I'm worried about this next generation, man. Like, growing up, I felt like between the barbershop, the Black church, even things like the Tom Joyner morning show, right? Like, we just had some places where we're like, there's gonna be some foolery and some coonery here and there, right? It's gonna be some things, right? But it's like, it ain't, the majority of it is gonna be positive and informative.
Right, it's not damaging.
Exactly.
I would make the argument the coonery of the past was pretty damaging.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the new season of Tap In. 4 brothers, 1 table, and 0 filters.
3, 2, 1.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Tap In, our next episode. You got the crew here. My name is Quentin. Got my guy Jerjuan. Got my guy Mandela, and obviously Das. We're here in the great city of Detroit. We're back in Detroit talking about social media. And we know y'all can tap into this conversation, so I want y'all to. But fellas, what are y'all seeing online? I mean, you're a big influencer online. I know I dibble and dabble a little bit, but what are y'all seeing online, that the good, the bad of it? We can talk about AI later on as well, but I know you have some thoughts as well.
Yeah, ready for a robust conversation about all the good in social media these days.
Because it's great, right?
Yeah, it will last an entire episode. We'll have a 3-part series about the good of social media, if you're ready for it.
Let's go.
But no, it's not good.
All right.
I mean, it's like everything is just so bad on social media. Like, just like look at the relevance of a Twitter. Like, you take the Elon Musk buying it part of it. Like, and all of us knew bad things were gonna happen. It's become a supremacist hellscape now, Twitter. Like, there's no content that gets promoted. There's very little engagement with any sort of progressive content, anything that seems positive that will move this country forward. And speech is, being quelled on our social media outlets. TikTok was purchased, and it's like, we had in a conversation on a different episode about this, like, where are our safe spaces? There literally are none in social media. So would love to hear somebody else's thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, maybe this is weird, I don't spend that much time on social media.
Yeah.
No, I don't believe you.
No, true.
Really?
I've had to develop true, real blocks.
Yeah.
Because I do so much work on social media, it's really easy for me to end up spending way too much time. So, and when I'm on there, it's for me, it's a lot of like stand-up comedy and basketball. My algorithm, I purposefully keep it light, because I feel like I would just take in way too much of just the take machine and the negative ecosystem of whatever the topics are. But I do know though that it's a lot of gloom and doom right now. The one thing I will say, if you're talking about just like in this moment, I am seeing, people are telling me that there's a lot of videos of how ICE is conducting themselves in the communities. And I do think that that's important.
Yeah.
I think it's important that those are going in these spaces, kind of just percolating throughout these spaces, and people are having to reckon with what the person they voted for is actually doing in the communities. But outside of that, yeah, I'm not seeing too much other than basketball and stand-up comedy.
Yeah, see, my algorithm, like, it's just different content depending on the platform. I will say that. Like, rarely am I on Twitter. I'll do quick scrolls. I don't, like, post myself on Twitter. You know, my Instagram is a little more fun, right? Like, it's more the hobbies I'm involved with, but...
The views.
The what?
The views.
The views? No, man. It's the things I do in my regular life, man.
Okay.
You want to look at it right now? When we go to my explore, you want me to show you post your explore page?
Don't look at my
you want to look at me?
Don't look at
let's all of us bring your explore pages up right now.
Explore
In
page
unison.
does not know
In unison.
what I
This is
like.
what we gonna do.
I'm not responsible for what's on my.
Oh, what's on it? No, what's on it? No, because I feel
it's
very
weird.
called out.
It's some
I feel
weird
very
shit on my
called out.
explore page.
Listen.
I'm not showing my explore
All right.
page.
Yeah, I'm not doing mine either.
but what are you seeing online? Is it all a mess? Is it all doom and gloom? Are you seeing some positives? What's up?
I mean, I'm seeing some positives, but a whole lot of negative. You know what I'm saying? I think to some degree it's created somewhat of an illusion of what like real life is. And I'm not saying that the world is peaches and cream. Detroit is not peaches and cream. But I think disproportionately, like the negative stuff is highlighted on social media.
Yeah, man.
And like it'll consume you to the point where it's starting to create narratives of their own.
Yeah.
You know, in affecting real life. So way too much negative stuff, but social media is a tool, depending on how we use it. But the majority of what we're seeing it's just not good.
But I want to stick there on the tool piece, right? So you mentioned ICE, and how people are being able to document some of the negative interactions they're having, right, with quote unquote government. I think about, you know, the war in Gaza and how people were kind of, you know, using social media to show the tragedies of that situation. You know, we know there's been a lot of, you know, ownership, right, changes. So it's owned by this, you know, white male group of folks whose politics don't really align with the rest of ours. But are we still able to use it as that tool? Are you all seeing challenges with that? Like, what are your thoughts on it still being that?
It's what else are we gonna use?
Yeah.
Like, it's what we have, and you mentioned your algorithm is specifically tailored. Like, you just got to be a little bit more deliberate about finding out the information you want to find out, or deliberate about organizing how you want to organize. And to your point too, like I would say, like, it's almost a virtual, but probably more so an alternate reality, because people are taking chances on social media or saying things on social media would never say in real life. Like, these people that are posting these things would never say this stuff to anybody.
To your face.
Would
right?
never say it to your face. And do it online just to provoke, try to get a reaction. But they're never going to be in the communities that they're maligning. They're never going to be in the rooms with the people that they have something negative to say about. And there is just this, they're walled off from reality. And if, you know, something changes that, then all of a sudden, then you're the bad guy.
What did you say? Twitter fingers turn to trigger fingers, right? Like, what's up with that though, right? Why is there this veil of
He quoted Drake in this day and age. He quoted Drake.
Whoa, we're not gonna.
He quoted Drake.
We're not gonna.
Oh man, what a guy.
We're not gonna do that.
We gotta do it. We gotta do it. Man.
Drake is one of the most accomplished artists of our
Fair
time.
enough.
We're not gonna do that.
Fair enough.
He lost a little rap battle, but like, no, there's not gonna be.
All right.
A little rap battle.
I mean, sure, right? Like, but again, let's talk about that too, right? Like, you know, social media really blew that, you know, that beef up, right?
This is a good point.
And it was kind of entertaining, right? But like bringing it back to, you know, but was it really being used to manipulate and like, you know, get us all to listen, which ultimately made white folks more money, right? Like, I don't know how much those artists and their teams benefited versus the platforms, the advertisers, the record companies. Like, social media for me, it is that platform that we use, but so much of it gets like to exploit us, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much, you said like they made, ultimately just white people made money and exploited from that rap beef. Not to broaden the conversation to hip hop in general, but like, I find myself thinking about this with hip hop as a whole, which is like, we love it and it comes from, you know, our culture and our experience in this country, but like it is a way that white distribution, white people who own record labels have been able to tell the story of black Americans back to black people, right? Like a lot of black folks actually don't grow up in the hood like that. A lot of black folks don't grow up around like niggas that's gangbanging like that. But by taking these couple that do, that are really creative and deserve to like have their art appreciated, but like blowing them up, like master to, you almost have like black kids who like, they're like, oh, this is what it means to be black. And that is actually more of a function of a white record label than that actual black person. I think it's a trippy thing.
And the machine, right? Like learning what cultures and feeding it back to it, which is crazy.
Where people feel left out of black culture if they don't have that association with somebody who's a gangster.
And that's like not most black people's experience, and they're using social media to bring it back to social media. Like now, social media is a big way that they use to kind of tell the story to black kids about what it is to be black, you know?
Like my dad worked third shift. Oh man, he's never around.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, that's so messed up, man.
Shout out to my dad. He was very much around.
Exactly, right? But again, those stereotypes get promoted and just fed back to us, quote unquote, on those explore pages. And I'll tell you, man, as a father, it's really weird to grow up with kids who are like native first to social media, native first to technology. I remember during COVID, like my 5-year-old's in front of a computer all day, right? And like he's now Zoom and video and FaceTime native. Like it's fascinating because I find them connecting more, right, with their long distance friends or cousins. But the danger to that is like, who is feeding them these ads? Who is feeding them the other videos that come up on YouTube after, this fun game? And that's the problem that I see with social media is it can be used as that tool to show problems and to inform, but it's also, to your point, just creating this weird understanding of the world around people.
Bro, I think that we all know about COINTELPRO in the past. I think we're in the midst of COINTELPRO 2.0. We just don't know it. And I think it's social media. Like you don't have to infiltrate movements and organizations where you just infiltrate people's minds through like pushing certain narratives and stuff out there and like making us engage with the content. And it's literally shaping people's minds in everyday life about stuff. I think black relationships is an example of that. And I'm not gonna like going on off too deep into it, but I think the powers that be, bro, have figured out a way to trick the algorithm into thinking like that we're against each other. In everyday life, I don't see that.
We had an episode about that.
That's so true.
Bro,
we had an episode about that.
That is so true.
I think it's something very strategic happening to us through social media content that's being pushed
50-50
on
debate. How many? Who keeps starting these 50-50? I don't even feel like it's us at this point.
Bro, where are they coming from? I'm like, it's a joke, but like dead ass for real.
No, that's facts.
I think it's something much more deep that we're in the midst of. We won't know until like 20 years from now, but
yeah.
I think so.
But again, like let's talk about some more of that bad, right? Like right now, the majority of our elected officials are older, mostly white men, who, again, to our point, were not, they didn't grow up in an era where social media was, where our eyes were, where our attention was. And unfortunately, in my opinion, it's not been regulated in a real way, right? Like, how do we create guardrails for this next generation when all they know is the immediacy and the addiction to these devices and social media? Like, I remember, again, with the conversation around TikTok and the sell of it, right? You can be pro it or against it, but the idea that, like, we're letting the Chinese government have access to all of our devices, it's kind of weird, right? Like, I don't agree with that. Now, how they dealt with it, again, you can have your opinion on it, but like, there is some real danger that we don't have the guardrails up against yet. Sure. And what do we do about that?
I think guardrails are low-key impossible for the internet, bro. Like, real talk, I don't know how you really get to that point without like censoring free speech or like, I think China just made it where you have to have like certain credentials to speak on certain things. Did you all see that?
I saw that.
Serious?
Yeah, bro, you gotta have like certain credentials.
Speak on finances, to speak on health, and it was like one other thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like, and that's a law now.
Yeah.
And I think that like people that don't have degrees and stuff still have something to say, contribute. So I don't know how you can have guardrails up without censoring some group of folks. Or with the history of this country, like they can do that just to black folks who have free thought or new ideas. It can be like, I don't want
people do get shadow banned.
They
all
do,
the time.
yeah. So
for saying stuff that's controversial.
I remember, again, a big voice online was Sean King, right? And like his entire account got wiped out because
that's a good point. I haven't heard about him in a while.
Well, he's back now, I think. But like for 2-3 years, he was gone. Yeah. Because he was posting, what I guess Facebook and Instagram deemed as, content that wasn't appropriate. but he was showing reality, right? He was showing what was happening in Gaza and Palestine. So again, I ain't trying to get in the middle of that situation, but I am trying to say, is there a cost that we should be paying in terms of giving up some type of freedom of speech to put up these guardrails? Because like these are our kids, man. Like these are going to be the next generation of our leaders, quote unquote.
Go ahead, bro. I've been talking like
I was gonna say, like, I mean, there's always limits to free speech, and I think we need to just start being more honest about where they existed. They've always existed. We're gonna have to censor some people online. I say that as a person who has a career of being, that came from being able to just say whatever the fuck I wanted to say online. But I know that we gotta, like, everybody can't just be making points about everything with these massive platforms misleading people, just like you can't run into a movie theater and scream fire, right? Like there has to be some censorship. I think for the black community, I think where we need to go is ownership over our platforms. So like, Isaac Hayes III has fan base, right? Like I will be the first to say that I have an account, I'm not on it all the time, and I probably need to be on it more, but like in a world where we have Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and all these other people who are big tech titans who have fuck you money but never say fuck you to Donald Trump, we can't have our biggest mobilizing platform under their tutelage, right? So that's where I think we go next.
But like, who would be the enforcer if we were to put guardrails up? Like, is it the government? Do they have the moral
Theoretically, it would be the
compass?
FCC. Theoretically. Theoretically.
What?
Like
Brendan Carr's FCC?
But I'm saying, like, theoretically, that would be the case. I mean, you look at the television and radio, and, there were guardrails in place for a medium that will never have the power that social media has. And we've let this just behemoth now just continue to grow and grow and grow and get out of control. And so, yeah, sure, maybe it's not the FCC. Maybe it's something else that, becomes
for the audience, what is the FCC?
The Federal Communications Commission.
All right, and what do?
They regulate TV, radio, over-the-air communications.
They're supposed to.
And you know what? This is a good point, though. And they're supposed to do it in a nonpartisan way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like most government bodies, not political. We're talking about the president of the United States being Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump would be the president of the entire United States, not the Republican candidate. Right. But one thing, not to bring everything back to Trump, but like one thing Donald Trump has done effectively is politicizing otherwise non-political bodies. The FDA, the FCC, the CDC, right? Like we get these guys in focus groups now. When you say the CDC, they think you're talking about Democrats, right? And so now Donald Trump has this relationship with Brendan Carr at the FCC. It is political in nature. They are going to start politicizing what's on these newsways. So to your point, like, can we even trust our non-political bodies?
You can't. That's why I asked the question, bro. Like, who becomes the real enforcer of this? Like, who has the moral compass? Who has the nonpartisan vibe? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Kanye West, probably.
So we talked about some of this bad in some of the people. I do wonder, like, why haven't we seen that quote unquote black unicorn company, right? Like a black owner of a Twitter or a major social media network. And it is like fan base, the closest thing that we're gonna get to it, right? Like, what's been the hold up to us accomplishing that?
Because whenever we try to do something like that, it always ends poorly.
Yeah?
When was the last time we really tried to do
Do you want me to say it?
Please.
No, I'm not. This is purely for comical reasons. There's a guy that tried to buy NBC.
I mean, Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC. Exactly.
I forgot about that guy.
Purely for the joke.
But yo, we laughing, right? But like, if we go to the barbershop, right, that's a real conversation around that, right? Like, and again, for all intents and purposes, right, like we know, he did some horrible things, and I'm not getting into him. But the idea of black ownership in media, right? Like, I got to give it up to Roland Martin. He's been talking about that issue for a long time, in the Black Star Network that he has. But like, if all of our eyeballs, right, are on these platforms and these devices, isn't it troubling that we haven't had a real black company emerge?
Dude,
right?
Seriously, I mean, whether it's traditional media or whether it's new media, the fact is how it is structured now is one vantage point. That whether it's how information flows, who gets what content, and how people are actually covered, like how society is viewed. Like if you got this one very singular, force of like influence, because it's a universal tie for these tech titans, right? Like, there's not a whole much distinguishing them in general. Like that removes like so much of the population. 97% of the population is like, does not, subscribe to that, or not born into, or even live by that set of standards. And unfortunately, it is becoming, things are becoming more monolithic between us, or at least it feels like there's a push to make it all very singular, if that makes sense.
But again, like, if everybody, everybody, but talking about black people, right? If we're getting our information, our news, right, cues on what it means to be ourselves and our culture from these places, like how, again, if we're stuck here, how do we leave these breadcrumbs of like real information, of truth, of reality, right? I'm reminded of when folks started Hillman Talk, right? And it's like, you want to erase our history, we're going to tell our history on TikTok anyway, right? Like, is it that we just have to engage and show up in some type of way, versus going over here and creating our own? Like how do we do that? Like leaving those breadcrumbs of the reality in these spaces?
I think that's a DOS question. I think he does it.
You do it, bro.
Listen, look.
How do you do it?
I'm very aware that, Meta could take my entire platform tomorrow. A million people could just be taken away from my reach. So my current disposition with it is like, I'm just playing the game as long as the game exists. But this isn't the long run. I mean, it is too vulnerable. So I do think that the answer is our own platforms. And you talk a lot about like word of mouth and community and things of that nature. I think it's actually incumbent upon us to use the platforms to inspire more community. It's like a feedback loop. Like use the big platforms to talk about ways that we can actually organize more in person, because we can't. I say this as a content creator. We cannot depend on these platforms being around and being nice to us.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. With the bookstore that I was about to open up, I went and just knocked on people's doors and put flyers for our soft launch in there. Bro, like 60% of the people that came to the actual soft launch came because of that flyer, not because of social media, not because of anything else, because we literally put a flyer inside of their mailbox. Bro, so I don't know. I mean, use the platform for sure, but it has to be like coupled with some other methods of getting to folks. Newsletters. I still read newsletters that I'm subscribed to. Sure. I might somebody put something in my mailbox, I'm gonna still read it. But it takes just a more, I think, deeper and more local. And we're gonna talk about that a little bit more too, but just more local impact.
And there's an appetite for it too. I'm seeing like in New York, like the dating apps that are growing in popularity are all the ones that like force people to, like, you get on the app, you make an account, and then they just put everybody in a room. Like, they put you in a room, or like they make you like sit at a table with 8 strangers. Like, people don't really want to be on these platforms all day long anyway. Like, we want to, so I think we use the platforms to get us back into, the physical community.
I've been noticing a lot, because again, as a father, right, like a lot of the tech CEOs and C-suite, like they don't even let their kids have devices or get on social media while they're young, right? I think that's been kind of a wild thing. Or there was a group of parents, I forgot what city it was in, but they're like, our kids have to use the house phone to talk to each other, right? And like they saw like a phenomenal increase in like their test scores and their happiness even. Because like these things are, very depressive, right? You get on and you see yourself being compared to everything else, and it's like, what am I not doing right? What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you.
Suicides, all this other stuff. Like these kids just going to bed with the phone, just taking in whatever content, and it is destroying mental health, and it is completely warping perceptions of reality.
Look, it's not reality.
Because it's not reality.
And I think, and let's kind of talk about that, right? Like, is our dependence of social media and of our devices keeping us from doing that real work in reality, right? Like, a lot of times people might think, oh, because I did post about it or because I did comment about it, like, that's the end of it. And that's not, right?
Yeah, bro, yes, but go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, or the other side of that coin, if you didn't post about it, you didn't do anything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I want people to post about it.
For sure. But I'm saying, but a person that doesn't post about it, like, you know, a person that may do something in real life but didn't post about it, like, that doesn't mean that they didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why Donald Trump, and Barack Obama for that matter, gathered so much political steam is because they understood the attention economy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the attention economy right now lives online. And I think, I really do think that, like, you know, I was in focus groups just the other night, and there were a bunch of black folks who were basically saying when they hear, we will say, like, hey, we're the resistance, right? Resistance. Mm-hmm. And in the focus groups, we're trying to see, like, how do they hear resistance? Mm-hmm. What does that mean to them? And to our surprise, they were like, I hear a white cop saying, stop resisting.
Wow.
That's what I hear when I hear resistance. When we say things like fight, you know, things like that makes them feel more like they're ready to protest. But resistance was like, I am afraid to be the resistance. Mm-hmm. And I bring this up in this conversation because they correlated fighting with posting. A lot of these young people are like, this is how I fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm reluctant to take that away. Mm-hmm. In a time period where it is so unsafe for black people to physically organize and protest and things like that, it is very important that I think black people are posting.
No, so I think it's important that we are posting. I'm not gonna say that like we should just go offline and like straight up, you know.
I mean, I still learn stuff from stuff random people post.
Yeah,
like,
no,
like
same,
small
bro.
instances.
No, I still learn those things, but I do think that like it shouldn't be confused with like the actual in-person work. You know, like I think it's two types of like impact. You know, raising awareness online is one thing, but for example, I could have posted that flyer about my soft launch and people would have showed up, but the people in the community have no idea what's going on in that building. Mm-hmm. That is a bookstore that's for them if I didn't go knock on the doors physically. But I posted about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's two different types. And people that's from the east side or whatever, other side of town, they seen it and they pulled up too. But the people who are in that community right there locally impacted wouldn't have known about it if I just felt posting was enough for me to get the word out. I'm doing a good thing, I'm posting about it. It has to be more than that.
Yeah.
And this relates to politics, right? Like the post is important to raise awareness, to educate, to inform. But the reality is, I need you to show up and go vote, right? Because to some extent, like that is actually how you take that post and make it policy, right? And so I think part of this is the education and informing of this platform, this social media thing is important, as well as showing up in IRL, right? In real life.
Yeah, I think it's just layers to it. Or not even layers, I don't want to say like which one is more important, but some people think that voting is the only type of civic engagement they should have. Yeah. And some people think that that's like, that is enough. I did my part, now I'm hands off into the next election. And that is a whole problem of why, you know, things are the way they are too.
So, lack of accountability, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I think it's levels to accountability. It's self-accountability first. Regardless if the government does a thing for my neighborhood or not, I'm going to do these things. Yeah. Right? I'm still gonna hold them accountable, but here's the things. The local businesses in my community, here's how we're gonna hold them accountable. While me still doing these, it's just layers to it, I think. And we just sometimes get off and like, I did my part with this one thing. And it's just not enough in our current conditions that we're in. Our problems are too complex.
Yeah,
that's a great point. We absolutely have to stop telling young black people that just voting is all. They don't buy it. I mean, they haven't seen them, like, I'm particularly talking about like Black Gen Z, like they haven't seen their civic participations move the needle in a way that could be the only thing they're doing to get back their autonomy in an economy that is failing them. They just haven't seen it. It's not believable. You have older black voters who were closer to the civil rights movement who understand how their vote can translate into X, Y, and Z, but that message just doesn't work with young black voters at all.
So I want to ask you guys about AI, right? I mean, social media is one thing, but I think the invention, the immersion of AI it is and will continue to revolutionize everything we're doing, right? I mean, the idea that like this could be a conversation between, you know, our AI dummies, right? Like, do you all even know if this is real, right? It is real, like, you know, like, but the idea that that's now possible. How is AI factoring into this? Because I think as well as social media, we were behind the 8 ball with thinking about regulation and how to, you know, keep people safe. AI is about to wreak havoc on our communities if we aren't at the table. AI is an incredible tool. I think one of the biggest things and positive benefits of AI is speed and also replication, right? Like, how do we take known knowledge and make sure that we're applying it quickly to all of our strategies, all of our ideas, all of our content even. It's like that kind of voice in the back of your head that's coming to the forefront. And so as we think about our strategies to register voters, engage voters, use the right messages, use the right tactics and strategies, AI is that tool that we can tap into and tap in to make sure that we're doing stuff the right way and doing stuff at scale and doing stuff that's equitable, right? To make sure that all of us are being seen, are being heard, and are being engaged in these processes. So AI, what are y'all thinking about AI? Is it friend or foe to our community?
I'm scared of AI. Right. I use it, but in particular, I'm scared of how real the images and the videos I'm seeing are.
That MLK stuff was wild, bro.
It's
like,
insane.
y'all gotta chill with that. It's like disrespectful, man.
Yeah, it's moving so quickly. The impact is happening at a pace where societies, where communities aren't gonna be able to respond to the impact. Like, how many people are getting laid off? Well, Amazon laid off like 30,000 people.
UPS, like 48,000 workers.
In any other revolution throughout world's history, like industrial revolution, other technological revolution, there was at least some kind of time, right? Like, it didn't have this immediate of an impact. So the human cost is what for sure scares me, but also just the ability for more disinformation, more content to be manipulated and presented as fact without people who are, able to, discern what's what. Like, if my mom is texting me asking if this message is a scam, like, imagine the things she sees online and then is gonna call me. And I'm sure y'all can relate too. Like, people are susceptible to this stuff.
I have a slight pushback to that. I do think I think AI is just the final stage in the technological revolution that we've been seeing that really started in the early 2000s. And I do think we had an opportunity to have a real conversation about UBI, or GBI, any type of guaranteed income.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income that would come from the displacement that we wouldn't necessarily be able to refill from AI. And every time we turned away from that conversation, we turned away from conversations about socialized healthcare. And I don't think that those things were non-consequential in what is now to come, which is an economy where we need to figure out what does labor look like when AI can do so many things. This is when we were supposed to have social services in place to protect people. Those conversations were the same thing, and I think we ran away from them, is what I'm saying.
I think Andrew Yang, his whole his whole thing was like based off.
I mean, Bernie. Like, I wasn't a big Bernie guy, but like.
You weren't?
I wasn't a bit. I'm not big. He's fine.
It's just everybody thinks.
Who were you? What kind of guy were you? No. What kind of guy were you?
No, I'm trying to say, like, everybody think like everybody was with Bernie. Like, nah, bro. Like, we weren't with you, bro.
Yeah.
I want to be clear about that.
I voted for him.
See. Anyways.
I like Bernie. I mean, but yeah, I think he was having these conversations. AOC was as well for this moment. And now we are woefully unprepared for this moment.
Yeah.
My problem is, like, my dad used to say, like, a soft ass makes what's the
hard head?
A hard head makes a soft ass. Sorry, thank you.
What does soft ass make?
Hard head makes a soft ass. And I feel like this nation continues to have to learn lessons the hard way. Right?
Yeah, it's real.
Like, we don't address the issues till it happens, right? It's like, hey, well-meaning white men who are creating AI, you may want to have guardrails against Sora being able to create images of dead black people, right? Like that's a problem, right? Or recently, outside of Baltimore, there was a high school student who he got arrested because the AI security software thought his bag of Doritos was a gun. right? And so
Yeah,
police,
yeah,
you saw,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so police came and arrested this young black man because of a computer glitch, right? And so, we gotta adjust it. It's like, like how many problems are we gonna have to experience on the backs of innovation and AI? And that's my concern.
I don't know if this is the case, but based on that conversation, like how many of these ICE encounters are based on AI applications?
Exactly. There's a Pew study, right, that said that like black people are misrepresented 100 times to 1 versus white people when it comes to facial recognition software. Mm-hmm. And so we are going to, continue to see these issues of over-policing, over-incarceration due to this advance in technology. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem, man.
We're never going to stop innovating, though. I mean, we have to, and we're not supposed to stop innovating. I mean, this is what we are. But I do think that this is like, I'm not.
But at what cost, right?
I just think that like this is where
impossible to stop.
government
It's like it's impossible to stop.
Yeah, it is impossible to stop. When we went from you talk about like the Industrial Revolution, we went from an agrarian society to a textile society to the turn of the century to the Industrial Revolution. We didn't go back to the horse-drawn carriage, right? Mm-hmm. Governments were supposed to buffer us from one stage of economic development to another, to train and retrain, to be forecasting on what the next stage would look like. And I'm making a big government argument here only in the sense of like a well-funded government can predict these things and account for them before they happen. And so as America keeps voting in people who want to deregulate, right, and take away, George Bush takes away and we end up in the recession. Donald Trump wants to take away these parts of the government. We also leave ourselves very, very vulnerable to things like this, in my opinion.
And to your point, though, it is a cool opportunity for us to remake society, right? So, like, I think thinking about the Industrial Revolution, right? That's really, again, it took time, but that's where you get the 40-hour work week. Mm-hmm. Like you can't be in this factory for like 80 hours a week. Like it's just not healthy for you, right? Like, or you get child labor laws, right? Like we shouldn't have 10-year-olds in here, breathing in all this smog and like getting, sick, right? So I do think there are policy opportunities for us to figure out how do you implement AI correctly, right? To your point around UBI and GBI. Like, yeah, we're gonna get to a point, whether you like it or not, where people are going to be robbing you, right, to be able to afford, food and basic essentials, or you're going to have to cut that check for folks.
Do you think that the current power structure, like that we have in place right now, cares enough to really place those guardrails up?
I don't think that's the case now, but as you mentioned, like it's going to be real difficult to ignore. I know we all know somebody or some people who are making six figures that got laid off recently. Yeah. And that hadn't been the case, like middle income or higher middle income people who have been losing their jobs like this.
Yeah.
And there's no job to replace that, right? Like these are jobs that are literally being replaced by computers. And as much as I love to, because I think the world of AI in the sense that it allows my brain to move quickly. I have ADHD, so I'm just like boom, 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 boom. And it's been tough to like actually, and I'm also like, I like to work alone. So it's been tough to like find coworkers and colleagues who could deal with like, bro, slow down. AI, boom.
He's got his own data center.
We on.
AI is bro.
Yeah, AI is bro. AI gets me, yo. Like, I get it. We have conversations all day. But at the same time, I know it's going to replace entire industries, and it is right now.
And that's why I'm saying, my point is that this conversation is not different than the redistribution of wealth conversation.
Yeah.
We're going to need to start thinking differently about what labor looks like in the richest country in the world. Yep. Right? And it won't necessarily mean that you have to work 2 and 3 jobs to eat what you kill. It might look a little cushier when we start talking about redistributing that wealth,
But not even cushier.
Because the money that employed the people that are losing their jobs isn't going away.
Right.
It's just going to fewer hands.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And to your point, I don't think our current leadership structure is prepared to answer this conversation. And I think if we look historically, they've always gone towards the side of exploitation, right? Like, that's our capitalist system, but the West and the American kind of patriarchy has been the worst offender of that, in my opinion.
Bro, the tech leaders are at the White House in meetings and stuff, bro. Like I don't see right now
Paying
them being
bribes.
like, yeah, bro. I don't see it being the opposite. Like y'all about to get taxed more to get, for this UBI to make sense for the rest of the citizens. I don't see that like agreement happening no time soon.
It could happen. It just usually happens after like some of the most intense economic downturns we've ever seen. This happened in the 20s after the robber barons era, right? We have to go through the Great Depression for us to start having conversations about redistributing wealth, getting money out of the hands of the Carnegies and the Vanderbilts and the railroad industry, because when they got all the money and who gonna spend it? Like how if we're not spending it in grocery stores, this is why billionaires are so bad. Not because they don't deserve to be like rewarded for their hard work. A billionaire can't buy a billion diapers. You know what I mean? Like a billionaire can't buy $1 billion worth of school supplies. They stall the economy by sitting on wealth. And so I just think all these conversations are connected when we're talking about AI and displacing people in work.
But you think we gotta go through the Great Depression type economics?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
You said about we don't learn a lesson unless it's hard.
I did say that, didn't I?
Wow.
We have to.
Man, got him.
We absolutely have to.
That's unfortunate, man. Like
It is unfortunate, but it's like, it's these existing power structures and greed has got us to that point.
Damn.
Where that's the only way people are gonna realize how bad it actually is.
I gotta feel it.
Well, clearly we have to go through 2 Trump administrations. One wasn't enough, right?
That's depressing, man.
How are AI, billionaires, and wealth distribution connected? I do think that AI in this moment, because it will displace so many jobs, it will also make us get a little contemplative about what labor looks like in America and how we should be distributing wealth from the government, right? Should we have some type of universal basic income, guaranteed basic income to support people as AI is taking jobs while we're also training and retraining people to be effective in the new economy that will come?
That's depressing, man. Can we talk about something good? All right, so like let's switch topics, right? I want to talk about social media and talk about AI, but like I also want to talk about some of these platforms that we're seeing emerge that, in my opinion, are kind of making these conversations more interesting, right? So like I think about Joe Rogan's podcast, even the Breakfast Club, right? Like, we're all kind of tuning into these new water cooler conversations, and these platforms are making that a little bit more entertaining, right? But like, is that the future of how we engage, right? Is that the future of our meeting places? I don't, as bad as this convo has been around the bad of social media and the problems of AI, like, I do really enjoy these conversations online. It is pretty entertaining and kind of like, I was thinking about that, but like these folks are talking about it a lot. What are your thoughts on that?
I enjoy it. I mean, I've always enjoyed it. I like the long form with like, I was an early Breakfast Club person, and I do appreciate that it's not just intellectuals on there having these conversations. It's not just PhDs. There are times I appreciate like a Charlamagne the God, like their opinion, a Joe Budden, like their opinion on some of these things. But I think what's really at the core is like they feel a lot like the people you just know, talking about these topics. Like it feels like a barbershop conversation. So I think that's great. I'm enjoying it cautiously. Like I'm afraid for Joe Rogan and Joe Budden to have that much say, their microphones to be that big. We just saw recently here, like with what was his name on the Brilliant Idiots podcast, the white boy, the dude who be with Charlamagne the God, Andrew Schultz, and all of them. We just saw them just go hard MAGA out of nowhere, just pull up. It was crazy. I mean, this is a Brooklyn, New Yorker, grew up making jokes with black people in black space, been all wilding out, and just go MAGA. And then just like take a bunch of people with them. So like I'm afraid of these platforms, but I'm generally enjoying them.
But let me ask, like, do you think, and we talked about this off camera, like, do you think we'll have a political leader emerge from one of these large platforms, right? And I gotta say too, like, as much as it's sometimes problematic, I do give it up for Joe Budden and Charlamagne. Like, they are trying to bring in some ownership, right, of their platforms, which is dope. But bringing it back to like the politics, do you think we're gonna see a Gavin Newsom type person or somebody else kind of emerge from a podcast to maybe a presidency?
I mean, it feels like a sort of natural progression. We have a reality TV show,
right? Exactly.
Guy as president.
Yeah, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger, right, as governor. Is that next?
Yeah.
Probably.
President Charlemagne, President Joe Biden.
I don't know if it's gonna be them, but I do think it's
Stephen A.
Yeah, bro, it's in the future.
Stephen A.
It's
Stephen
coming,
A.
bro.
Right?
Like, again, like with the political education level being that it's at, and pulling on emotions and stuff, man, a good podcaster will get up there and say a couple good things and make it make sense for enough people to want to get behind him or her.
Mm-hmm. I think what's actually, if we do end up with that, what would be underneath it is just the like very clear disdain with inauthenticity coming from politicians. Like some, I won't say their names.
Say it. Name them.
Some that we talked about earlier that just can't be normal.
You mean
right?
they are like robots?
They're, and like people not fucking with it, man. They don't vibe with that. Like,
Yeah.
Because again, these platforms will also expose you, right? Like, I think that's the thing is, I forgot which presidency it was where it was the first time that a debate was broadcast, like it went from radio to television, and the guy completely bombed. He lost the election because of it, right? And so I think there are opportunities where, again, this can be helpful for you, maybe having a political career, but it can also embarrass the hell out of you too.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an accident that Zoran Mamdani is doing so well, and he's also really good online. Like he's very personable online.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like the politician of yesteryear. Like he feels like he could have a podcast or he could be on a show like that. I mean, I don't think that's an accident.
Yeah, and the funny part too is like he doesn't feel like that, but he also like brings certain elements of politics of yesteryear. Like he shows up in a suit.
Yeah, he does.
And it's like
he walks the line. Really well.
It's real. He does it well.
Yeah,
Calculated. Maybe not. I don't know. But I guess the other question, to this conversation is there, an opportunity to inform some of these larger platforms, right? Like we talk about the challenges of some of these individuals. You mentioned Stephen A., who got called out for his stuff with Jasmine Crockett, for instance, right? Like how do you celebrate, some, again, mostly black men, right, who are in these spaces with these platforms, but hold them accountable to like the actual content that they put out there?
I don't know if you can. I don't know if we can. I think someone can. I don't know if the listeners can. And if you can, it hasn't happened yet. I can say that much. Like with the Stephen A. Smith and his platform, and I mean even Shannon Sharp, who I like quite a bit.
Club Shay Shay.
I love Club Shay Shay, but like it's very clear that like some of these people need to be nudged in certain directions that I don't know if just taking away listeners is going to, this isn't a person, but this is an entity that I've been thinking about for a long time that we just can't get them together, is the Shade Room. We can't get these niggas to act right worth nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they got the biggest
Yeah, they have a big platform.
I'll say though, so we actually worked with them way back in 2020, and it was wild. We did a voter registration campaign with them. Some of our best results.
Yeah, they have massive reach.
They have massive opportunity to create some change in our community.
I'm not gonna mess up your.
Nah, but no.
I got some thoughts about the damn Shade Room.
But it's back to this point around monetization, right? And it's like we will trade the bag for us creating some change, and that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think all these platforms are somewhat guilty of it. Is that just the society and what we deal with, or can there be a different way? Like, I don't know.
That's what Mark Lamont Hill's trying to do right now. I mean, that's why he's on the Joe Budden podcast, right? He left television to get into that space to like talk hip hop, sports, but also like nudge them a little bit towards, like, hey, the vaccine science is pretty solid, actually. You know what I mean? Like, and that nigga just almost threw hands with the rest of the team.
But so you bring up a great question for me, and I don't know the answer to this. I'm gonna ask y'all brilliant brothers, right? If you go on social media and you see a dope produced video, somebody look like they got some qualifications and they don't, like what is the recourse for somebody going online looking polished, produced, but has no idea what they're talking about ever, right? Who are misinforming our community. How do you deal with that? You just do a different video, right? And try to get, like,
I try to get them out of my algorithm. I try to suggest less, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, bro. To some degree, man, I try to control what I can control, and I try just not to engage with it. Because I think naturally what we do, we sometimes think that we're, like by talking about this person, some of the names we even name, like we're correcting them. Really, we're just giving them more attention. And like, somebody gotta just ignore the goofy shit. And that's what I try to, that's like a personal thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same way. Like, it's pretty universal. Like, it's the packaging, it's the presentation that people respond to. Because most people aren't gonna sit and take time to just listen to everything. But if a person or an entity is presented as a certain way that just looks credible, like it's gonna be given the benefit of the doubt.
And maybe it's like an all above strategy, right? Like, tap in, you know? We need y'all to tap in with us, put us on that same level with other platforms. But man, and again, my viewpoint is that of a father. It's like, I'm gonna do my thing with my kids and their network, but I'm worried about this next generation, man. Like, growing up, I felt like between, the barbershop, the black church, even things like the Tom Joyner morning show, right? Like, we just had some places where we're like, there's gonna be some foolery and some coonery here and there, right? It's gonna be some things, right? But it's like, it ain't, the majority of it is gonna be positive and informative.
Right, it's not damaging.
Exactly, like.
I would make the argument the coonery of the past was pretty damaging. Looking at the Supreme Court, I think we had some coonery going on up there. But
all right, so tell me, what are some of your favorite platforms online right now? Give me some good shit instead of all the negative.
Who's good right now? This is dude, DOS Discourse. I just love his videos, man. He's great. No, I think he's in Atlanta. His name is Deontay Kyle.
He's with us last time.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He's great.
He's sitting right here.
Yeah, he's great. I like him. He's very authentic.
Yeah. Real good dude.
He just he puts it out there. I like him. I also like Consciously. I think he has a voice that's really strong, really powerful. And I think as far as like the really big platforms, I see Ezra's doing Ta-Nehisi Coates is doing more visual stuff. I think if he decides to really get in online. There's one person I need to shout out. Jamel Bowie.
Yeah, he's doing some good stuff.
If anybody, do I have the camera? If you have a TikTok or an Instagram, follow Jamel Bowie. He is the most brilliant person online by a landslide, and like his delivery is up there. You gotta pause his video sometimes and be like, wait, what did he just say? But I think everybody should be following him.
Man, he mentioned Deontay Kyle. That's like a huge one. I follow bro content. Like, I know he's joking with him, like lifting himself, but I think bro is very credible and knowledgeable about the things that we should be talking about. So those two off the rip.
Yeah, I mean, I don't spend a whole lot of time. I'm not on TikTok at all. Like, my Instagram scrolling is, like I said, more hobby based. I'm on Strava. I spend time on Strava.
Working out, right?
It's like a run app.
Yeah, man. I just want to see what people.
But you're a marathoner, though.
Yeah, but that's not. We're not here to talk about that.
It's important, right?
We're not here to talk about my physical achievements, my feats of strength. But. I watch a lot of comedy. I try to soften it. So I try to soften the reality of comedy. So I take a lot of Josh Johnson content.
He's good.
So I'm gonna say two people. So first is Keith Lee, right? I appreciate how he uses his platform to just like impact people immediately.
Yeah.
Like, damn, I had a great burger. Y'all just come try this burger out. And boom, you can help make $1 million business.
That's from Detroit, by the way.
He's from the D. What up, though?
That's a good point.
But the other person I like is also Drewski, right? Like, Drewski be doing crazy stuff. But I also appreciate how he like brings the community in.
Poison.
Right?
That's poison. It's not poison, man. No, that's the last video.
Oh, the video.
When they were just like the Hebrew Israelites.
Man.
It's like poison, bro.
Which I don't after this though. But I love how the comedians are also using these platforms to somewhat like break down some of the gatekeepers, gatekeeping, right? Again, like another institution, black comedy, right? And I love how they're kind of taking it back a little bit from these larger platforms and stuff, man. So shout out to them, man.
It's extremely important. Well, like the comedians of the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
poking from a different angle. I think Drewski is very, very funny. I feel like he's underrated.
He is.
Because he's not a stand-up, but he's extremely funny.
Yeah.
And he has a very good, almost like an anthropological gene. Like when he does his Atlanta dude versus when he does his white boys from the, he really sound like them. Like if you know his frat white, actor, bro, he could be a phenomenal actor. Yeah.
The NASCAR skits, bro.
That was hilarious.
That
one was crazy.
White face stuff, man. To your point, it's a great take on society. It's a great take on our viewpoint as black people, because we all get it, right? Yeah. Without there being a script, without there being a description, we immediately understand what it is. And it talks about black brilliance to me.
Can I really quickly bring up something that might be a little controversial?
Please. It's not controversial.
This is one of the reasons why I am saddened by the break from Chappelle's impact and the criticisms of the black community. I think first of all, he's so funny. He's one of the funniest comedians ever. And I think his social takes were really good. And I think maybe he misfired in some areas. But I do think I would like for us to revisit his cancellation. Because I think his voice is really important in this moment, and I haven't heard much from him at all.
I want to be very clear. I didn't cancel Chappelle.
I didn't either.
Was that a thing that happened?
He had the trans jokes, and people didn't like them. People didn't like the trans jokes, and I feel like, then you didn't see the situation at high school. They were going to retire his name, and then they took. But I think
that's cancel culture, and I get it.
I think he's important in this moment.
I don't think Dave Chappelle is anti-trans.
No, I don't. I don't. Yeah.
But I think in some context, people can assume that or believe that because there's this rush to judgment based upon sound clips or based upon whatever. I didn't mean dominate the conversation, but I just think it's one of those things that makes me very frustrated. Is how quick we are to throw each other away. And not try to build some understanding and perspective of let's talk about that, right? Exactly. Before we shift entire culture.
Where does that come from though, man? We're the idea that we're just disposable like that to where does that come from? Where do you think that idea or that mindset what's the context or historical context to that you all think?
I don't know. Some of it can be just from selfishness. I think about all we've been through, as black people, and all the stuff that we have let slide as a society and not canceled or gotten rid of people. But you can get so dug in at whatever the issue might be. You can get so dug in if you don't say something the exact way that people want you to say it. Then all of a sudden you're just not on board. It's so binary. It's this or that, and. Ironically enough, it's a binary choice, right? It's either with us or you are completely against us. I don't know how it got that way, but the ability for us to dialogue, to have that conversation, I feel like those opportunities have been taken away because the public square isn't in public anymore. It's virtual. It's not in a place where we can actually share space, share food, actually be in community with one another. And as long as it's happening on screens, which is where cancellations occur, then it's going to continue to be just
there's no empathy.
Toxic way.
There's no empathy, and I think it's this revenge ethos, right? Because I think we saw some of this with the Me Too movement. Right, where there are legitimate concerns we got to deal with around masculinity and sexual assault and how men have treated women. We got to deal with that. And sometimes things are gray. They're not black and white. And we got to have a conversation and a way to deal with it. Besides, I got power now, I'm dealing with you that way, right? I think that's jacked up, man.
I think what we have to have, what we far too often don't have, is we have to have a vision of the destination of where we want to end up. So, I think about this with masculinity. I think, around the Me Too movement and a little bit before and a little bit after, there was no shortage of our criticisms of masculinity. And I think they were fair, and we had a list full of things that toxic masculinity is this, and it's that, and it's that, and get rid of this and get rid of that. But we never really defined what positive aspirational masculinity looked like or what we wanted masculinity to look like. And I would go as far to say that this is probably, the gap between those two things is probably why some really, really bad actors like an Andrew Tate have been able to define masculinity in some of the most egregious ways, and cruel. And they came with a version of masculinity that equated it with cruelty. It is man to be dominant over a woman and to not care about immigrants, right? And I think some of that came from our criticisms without solutions.
Right.
We just didn't have an idea. So I agree with you in that sense.
Man, this is a deep conversation, bro. I'm appreciating it because it's also helping me think around, like, how do we create inclusive space?
Yeah.
Right? Like, to have these conversations and to build understanding. I think that's going to be the key to your point, seeing each other's humanity, right? To where, like, we may not agree, but I don't think you're against my existence, right? Or respecting me as a person. But we just got to figure out a way, like, how do we meet in the middle, or you to get better understanding of what I think and what you think and who we can all be, man.
As a candidate on the left, though, like, I wonder, like, you have to navigate this in ways none of us.
That was the old me.
No?
That was the old me, candidate. Candidate was the old Mandela.
No? Okay, no.
But no, it's a lot. It is a lot to navigate, and it was a lot, and getting to a point where people will feel like, okay, all right, well, you're good. Like you've got the sign off. It's like the layers of things that you would have to, a person would theoretically have to do to be seen as fully on board with whatever program. Like it's wild, man. And it also can stagnate because it allows less time to venture out into other places to try to build coalition, to try to build understanding. I don't have that answer. I feel like we're starting to run out of tape right now because everybody getting a little nervous standing up around us. So we got 4 minutes to go.
Nah, but again, I think that's another combo we got to come back to is like, as black men and black people,
the expectation is crazy.
How do we exist in a two-party big tent society, right? Like those trade-offs of what I believe versus what I think will help me get elected, or like what I think is best for our people. Like that's a heavy combo.
It's a very heavy conversation. It's an impossible conversation.
To the Black Panther Party for providing somewhat of some context of how to deal with it, but we're definitely gonna come back. So last take, I want y'all to tap in real quick. Social media, what's your advice for our followers, listeners to engage with it, but in a positive light?
Yeah, your attention is currency. Use it as such. I mean, you don't have to waste it. Treat it as it's valuable. Follow Jamel Bowie. And I think, just know when to be pointed with that attention.
Yeah. Does it help or does it hurt?
For me, I mean, it's a tool. It's a tool. Utilize it as such. If it's content that you feel is productive to you, then engage with it. If it's not, then keep the goofy stuff over there.
Dope. Protect your culture. That's it. Thank y'all for joining us.
All right.